Hello everyone. So today let us learn about the arrays in C++. So arrays are typically the derived data type. So why is it derived data type? Because they use the basic or the fundamental data type as its base. So if I say I have integer, I have let's suppose floating point numbers, or let's suppose the characters. So and if I combine these characters, I can form an array or the sequences. And the property of the array is each array element. Let's suppose if you see this particular diagram. So in this diagram, there are different array values and you have the indexes of the array. So the best portion in the array is I can declare many different variables using a same variable name. Like suppose in this particular example, integer x is the name of the array. So x refers to the name that is given by the user, and this is the index. So this index gives the size of the array. That means if 5 is mentioned over here, then 5 different values of integer data type. So integer is your fundamental data type is allowed in this particular array. So what? So if this particular case is followed in traditional scenario, so what would you do is you would be creating 5 different variable. Let's suppose it's x1 or x2 or x3, x4 and x5. So instead of creating 5 different variables, the name of the array will remain x, and you will be providing 5 different values to those to a same name variable. So and these 5 variables will be stored in continuous location. And if 1000 is the location of the first element, then 1004 is the second element memory location, and so on. So depending on the data type that is used, so every variable or every array, the element of the array is located in the memory according to the size of its data type. So the syntax of the array is as follows. You have to write, or you have to mention in the starting the array type. So this would be either integer or character or floating point. So this defines the character or float or integer array, and followed by the name of the array. So name can be any user defined name. So this is scores are mentioned as a user defined name. Name is again a user defined variable name. GPA is defined as the user defined variable name, followed by how many variables do you want to be created under this particular name. So if it's score, so under score, it's 9 is mentioned. So 9 refers to 9 different variables having the index starting from 0. So this is really important that the index of the array starts from 0. So it's 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, and ending with 8. So in total, you are having 9 elements. Similarly, if you have character array, so in character array, you have to use the name again, the user defined name, and followed by the size of the array. So this size or this 10 specifies that 0 to 9, the index obviously starts with 0. So you have location till 9 where each index or each variable will take the memory location, and it can take the value that is character value, since it is the character array. Similarly, the floating point GPA is defined with the size 40. That means 40 different variables, and starting from the index 0 till size -1, that is 39. Okay, so let us see different types of methods in which you can initialize your array, in which you can actually give the values to the array. So first is where you have the data type, the name of the array, followed by the size, and with equal to sign you can directly assign within the curly braces, and you can specify the different values. So it's 5 different values. It's 3, 7, 12, 24, and 45. So these are 5 different values, and these values will be stored in an array format. Okay, the second method is int numbers and blank. So this blank, if you don't define the size in this particular array declaration, then you have to initialize the array. And like suppose if you are mentioning 5 different values, so by default the compiler will take 5 as the size of the array. Similarly, if I'm writing integer number 5 and just defining two numbers as the values in the array, then by default all the leftover places, all the leftover positions, 0 will be assigned. So it's 3, 7 and followed by 3 zeros, and in total the size is 5. Okay, so let's see the last method. In the last method, int lots of numbers is the name of the array, and followed by 1000. So 1000 variables, or the size of the array is 1000, and each is having the value 0. That means each of them is initialized with 0. So all the array elements will be filled by 0. Okay, so now let's see how we can actually process the arrays and how we can actually program or write the code for this. After this particular slide, we'll see in the next video how we can work with the arrays and how we can code it. So let's see the logic first, and then we'll proceed with the coding logic. Okay, so you'll start with the loop. You can apply any of the loops. You can go for loop, or you can go for the while loop also. So if you have a variable, let's suppose it's I equals to initialize to 0, and I should be less than 10 and I plus plus. So the size of the array is starting from 0 and will end till 9. So it's less than 10, so it will end till 9. So that means you have to process 10 scores. You have to process, you have to take either the input or you have to compute something. So in case you want to read the scores, so each element, each single element can be read by the simple for loop, and within the for loop this I denotes the index through which you can iterate. The next is the how you can process or how you can display the elements. So again the loop is same, but instead of reading the array after each index, you have to print the array or you have to display the array, and then you have to stop in the end. Now let us see in the next video how we can process the array elements and how we can actually work with the portion of initialization and how we can compute with some examples of array.